What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Rowdy Player One channel. I am Rowdy, and today we have got a review slash need to talk about Lonesome Dove. I've had this buddy read going on with a few booktubers. It's me, Kevin Toll Reads, Trav's Bookshelf, and some other character. All four of us have been going over this about every 2 weeks. I mean, it's nearly 1,000-page book. And so today I've collected, I think, all of my thoughts on it and going to kind of go down this little bit of a structure on stuff to talk about and my final thoughts on everything. So I guess this will be pretty much, I think it's non-spoiler, I would say. I can talk about a few things, but nothing much. Plot-wise, this whole book deals with, you've got these former Texas Rangers and their companions going, they live in this town called Lonesome Dove in Texas. And I mean, it's hot, sweaty, people stink. They like to go, visit some sporting women in the town, and they're digging up a well to try to get some water, and another Texas Ranger comes and talks them somehow into getting a herd of cattle together and taking it all the way to Montana, which happens to be about 3,000 miles away. So they decide to do all this, and kind of out of the blue, I guess you'd say, one of the main people in it is like, yeah, we're going to do it. And everyone decides to join. They get a bunch of people up and they head north, basically, to Montana. And that's basically the whole premise of the book. The whole plot of it is to get from Lonesome Dove to Montana. So you have your main, we'll say some of the characters. You've got probably your main characters would be Gus and Call. They are both Texas Rangers. Jake Spoon was also a Texas Ranger. Let's see, Lori or Lorraine and Newt. Those are probably the 5-ish main characters in this, and they're all so different. Like Gus is real outspoken and bombastic and just always tries to crack a joke and mess around with people, and he's just funny. He's probably he was my favorite character in this whole book. I loved whenever Gus was on the page. He was just hilarious. Then you've got Call, these were the two main, these are the two main characters in it. But Call is like the complete opposite. He's stoic, real quiet, doesn't talk much, doesn't want to talk to any women, period. Just stay away from me, basically. Has no interest in it, has no interest in anything but working all the time. Then you go to Lorraine, who is a sporting woman, if you will. She's trying to get to San Francisco. That's where she's wanting to go, and will try to do anything that she can to get there. And when Jake Spoon comes to town, and starts talking to everybody, he's kind of like a ladies' man. That's basically what he'd be, and can basically convince any lady to them two to join together. We'll say that. And, convinces her, that he's going to take her there basically just to keep her around. And she ends up going on the trail with him. And then you got Newt, who is, it's mentioned a few times in the book who his father is, but nobody knows, or they say they don't know who Newt's dad is, but you find out basically who it is way later on in the book. And he's really young. I think he's like 17. So he's very young. A really hard worker, does anything they ask, loves characters. He cries several times in this book. He's very emotional, but there's a lot of death, to say the least. Pace wise of the book, the pace to me is very slow and methodical. It's a whole book where these cowboys are herding cattle and horses and all, just 3,000 miles up to Montana. So it's not a fast trip by no means. Very slow, and you gradually get there and you learn to really get in deep with these characters and figure out about what they're all about. And it's really good. My God, I enjoyed it. Tone of the book. So if you're looking at like the tone of it, I would go, to me, it's a very bleak tone. Like, you're lucky if you live to be, golly, 40 years old, I think. I think it's one point in the book where one of the other characters tells Roscoe, who's another character in the book, that if you live to like 40 or 45, like, you're doing great. So lots of death in the West. It's, they deal with death and hardships at all corners. Just constantly. There's people dying, people getting sick, things going wrong, Indians coming in to steal their horses, or, they get scalped and get killed by them. it is definitely the Wild West. Some of the pros and cons of all this. The pros, I would say, is if you love strong characters, where like Gus and McCall, just the way that they talk and interact, and they're not afraid of anything, and then you've got others who are like right the opposite, who seem to be scared of everything. It's just the character growth and of some of these characters are just amazing. The dialogue, like the way they interact with each other. You can literally tell who's talking on the page if you didn't even have so-and-so said this, or the sentence was whatever, and they said, you would know just by the words being spoken who that person is. It's so good. You really get to know and understand the characters and their motivations. Why are they doing this? Why are they going to Montana? What has convinced Call to take them there? He has a reason for it. He's very set on why he's wanting to go. Same thing with Lori or Lorraine. Why is she wanting to get to St. Louis? To San Francisco? There's strong motivations with the characters. Some of the cons. If you can't handle sexual violence, bad things like that, you're not going to like this book. I know Tori Tekken, which has a channel, Tori Talks, she was not a fan of this book because of a lot of the stuff that happens. And I totally get it. I wasn't for sure in the first several chapters, but once you get to some parts and when those parts are, it's pretty rough. So if you're not a fan of animals dying, because there's several, and some of them specifically say how they die and what happens. Some of that's pretty gruesome. And also, if you're not a fan, which I wasn't really a fan, and when I say this, a fan of, I don't mean like you're happy, you're fine with all that, it's just something, if it bothers you that whenever they talk, which got me a few times, about how, like, one part in particular where this one character gets upset and can't handle because he doesn't get complimented for something that he does. And it's literally like 2 or 3 pages of him not happy about, I didn't get a compliment because of something he did that was good. If that gets on your nerves, you might not like this book, because I understand, because it really got on my nerves. Final thoughts. What do I have to say? This book is good. The first 50 chapters of this book, if it wasn't for me being in this buddy read, I'd have DNF'd it. There's absolutely no question, because I was bored to death over it. Everything is so slow and so, as I said earlier, methodical, and it's just easy, and nothing much happens. But then it's like, he was like, hey, you know what? I got 50 chapters left. Let's just amp it up to 100. And my gosh, does it. It completely flips, and it is just constant after that. First 50 chapters, not great. Last 50, holy crap. If this book would have been like this the whole time, it'd been the best book I've ever read, period. Now, it's still really, really good, and I really enjoyed it. And there is so many characters that you think, no way they're going to die, that die in this book. It'd blow your mind. I never saw it coming whenever half of these people that die go. It is so crazy. But overall, I'm going to give this a 4-star review. It really turned around. Like I said, if you can get through the first 50 chapters, the last 50 are a breeze. I mean, they blow by. They are so good. And also, if you like audiobooks, I suggest listening to it in audiobook too, because that audio narrator, I cannot remember his name, was awesome. He talks just like a cowboy in the Old West. I mean, it's so good. But other than that, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you give Lonesome Dove a shot, and leave me a comment. Let me know that if you've read it or if you plan on reading it. And like the video, subscribe to the channel. Other than that, y'all have a good day. Bye.